Nelson Rand, who's in Bangkok. Nelson, what's happening? Are the protesters now in control of Parliament?
Well, at the moment, the protesters have just left the Parliament building back to their two main protest sites. One is nearby and one is in the commercial heart of Bangkok. What happened is that earlier this morning, the protesters learned that the Prime Minister was holding a cabinet meeting in the Parliament building. Hundreds of protesters stormed the building. Now, the Prime Minister left as soon as he heard that the protesters were coming, but many other ministers and MPs were still in the building when the protesters surrounded it and stormed it. Many of these MPs and ministers had to leave or escape by climbing over fences. This is clearly an escalation of the protesters' tactics since these demonstrations began nearly a month ago. Clearly now the protesters are using more provocative and daring tactics in their effort, in their campaign to force the government to resign.
Now, the Thai army has so far stayed on the sidelines in this political standoff. Do you think the storming of Parliament could spark a reaction from the armed forces, seeing that this is an escalation, as you say?
It certainly could. As you said, the armed forces and the police have used extreme restraint over the past month since these protests began. Yesterday, in fact, police and army personnel retreated from several different locations in the capital when they were confronted by the protesters. However, the Prime Minister and his security team has repeatedly told the protesters that storming state buildings will not be tolerated. So it certainly could seem now that they are targeting state buildings, that the security forces may be forced now not just to remain on the sidelines, but to act.
It does appear that the situation is growing more and more tense. Thanks very much, Nelson Rand, reporting there from Bangkok.